Yo, YouTube, Mr. T here, and today is day 3 of uploading my schoolwork because, and sadly, it's not a video task today, it's a reading comprehension. But it's for Dutch, and I had some nice ideas for video, so this will be a video, even though it's not a video task, so I hope you'll enjoy it. Now, the first part of a reading task is, of course, getting a book. And as I do not read in my free time, and we had a list to choose from, and so I do not have any books at home, and most certainly not the books on that list, I first needed to get to the library to get that book. The book in question. And now comes the most boring part about a reading task. Reading this shit. So let's get reading.
Here we go.
Hey Book Club, Dan here from One Man Book Club. I am excited to share with you The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. It seems like every book club everywhere is reading The Midnight Library these days.
So now that I've actually read the book and did my homework, I have prepared to share this with you guys. So my opinion on the book, and of course I will also go over everything I wrote. So it's a great book. That's my opinion. It's nothing too special. And our task was very simple. Write your opinion about the book, but you need to use two other opinion articles to compare your opinion to. So I opened as following. Midnight Library is a book written by Matt Haig and translated in Dutch by Monique de Berg. In the book, we follow Nora Seed as she struggles with a hefty depression because everything in her life looks to go wrong. Therefore, she decides to commit suicide. But instead of getting into heaven or seeing nothing at all, she appears to be in a library, which gives her a unique chance. The unique chance being that she can take books from the shelves, and when she opens them, she starts living an alternative life. When she makes another choice. For example, if I die, I could read my life when I never started my YouTube channel.
Oh, hell no!
As I continued, I wrote, there are of course other people who gave their opinion about this book before me, so we will first look at what they have to say. You have Linda de Geest, who writes that it's a very nice book. She says that the story is truly capturing, and that even though the writer Matt writes a lot about suicide and death, that this story still feels like something new. Another person who writes about it is Judith Lambert, and she also writes very positively about this book, saying it's a warm book and it gives you a good feeling, and that it is very easy, which I also felt is very easy to live with the character and understand what she's going through. And and that's something I find very important. The story makes the step to be, as a society, open about the issue that is suicide more easy. So I wrote, as reaction to these opinion pieces, that they really are correct. Like, they're nearly perfect because the story is nice. It's a very motivating story. It's a very sad story, but it has a positive twist, as you can see how the wrong choices he made weren't always so wrong. Um, but what one thing I would like to say about this book in a negative critic is that the book really is hard to read because there are a lot of philosophers mentioned and a lot of philosophical ideas mentioned, but also the idea that the midlife library is somewhere between death and living. It's like somewhere in between, but you can also die in the library and you can also live in the library. So that the the parts there, the idea is very complicated, and therefore I feel like some people might not be away with it as fast. Normally, I read books way faster than I did this one because I actually thought that I would read this book in 1 2 days, and I was a whole week struggling with this book. So I think that the people who write these opinion pieces read a lot of books and therefore think it's easy, but it is actually not. As someone who does not read a lot of books, I just don't. This book does have some complicated language and sometimes it's hard to read. But, and this is my closing of the article I needed to write, Midnight Library is a very interesting book that makes you think about you, yourself, your life, and the choices you make. The book is very beautiful and it is telling a beautiful story. So it's worth the reading. And also, other books of Matt Haig are worth reading, are worth to pick up and look in when you are in a library. Of course, you guys, I needed to say something positive about this book. It is my teacher Dutch, of course. I'm not gonna say, this book is so gay, I would like to throw it out of the window straight into my swimming pool. Yeah, that's not a possibility. But I really, and I say this at the bottom of my heart, I really thought that this was a nice book. We also needed to discuss the cover, and I want to mention one thing. Even though this cover does not seem to have a library on top of it, the only thing that actually translates back to the story is the cat in the corner. Why? This cat is called Volt or Voltaire, and this cat is really important because when he dies, it's the last straw for Nora Seed, and her life, as she feels like her life, does not have any reason, and that her ecological footprint, one of those harder words they use, is not worth it, as she does not have any reason to be here and therefore decides to commit suicide. So, you guys, I hope you liked this video and I hope you like the book if you decide to read it. But of course, I am not your teacher Dutch or English, so I'm not gonna pressure you into reading it, but it's worth checking it out because it was a really nice book. Even though I did not read, actually, I only read this part. The rest,
Oh my god! Wow!
I, but I'm a bit on a time crunch, so you gotta do what you gotta do. Um, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you one in the next one. J20 out.